What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I want to give a shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Goliath Burrito, Forbidden Fan 12, Steven Stanton, Kent9 Dave 69, Saturn Coon, Fishcake, Nicholas A. Montgomery, Tatcap, Johann Stenfeld, Anthony, Russell Kanai Ueker, Luis A. Sandoval, Samaran 1, Shane Lindroth, Firefox 2590, Crispy Bacon, D, Evo, Jasmine Taylor Studley, Scav King, Zombie, Stinging Shadow, Cursing Throne 92, Jacobus 92, Owen, The One Who Crawls, Cesar Valentine, Joshua Suzik, Travis Tennant, Malik, JPC2, Jacob W, Alex Cole, Joshua Wire, Malik Black, Kiki, and as always I want to give a shout out to our executive producers Bevan Brummett and Vincenzo. Thank you all very much for your support. If you want to become a YouTube member, click the join button which is down by the subscribe button down below, and if you wish to become a Patreon supporter, click the link in the description to find out more. We'll see you there. Oh, I got a new tool. Wait, is this a... Oh my gosh, dude, I can melt through metal now. Yay! Any upgrades available? Hello. You know what? I got a full minute of blowtorch. Hey y'all, Renegades here, and oh god, we keep copying Scott the Wise. What are we doing with our lives?
I just scratched my boob.
That's about par
my
for the
boob.
course. Your man boob?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man boob pig.
I was gonna say, Al Gore comes in and he's just like, what was that you said? Man boob pig?
Man boob pig is super surreal.
Is that the son of Man Bear Pig? Man boob pig.
It's the wife of Man Bear Pig. Man boob pig. Come out there to feed the younglings.
Oh god, that's too good. Hey, Trey Parker, Matt Stone, you want to use Man Boob Pig? Hit us up, man.
We'll sell the rights to you.
Absolutely. Hell, you the one who came up with it, so.
I mean, it was, in this creative space. So
Yeah.
Cooperative effort.
All right, fair enough. But E3 is pretty much over now. I mean, I know a lot of people were asking us to watch, or asking me to watch the Bandai Namco section of E3. They talked about one game, the Dark Pictures thing, and that's it. They talked about that, and we're basically just like, away!
Well, at least they weren't like other places and just like, E3's coming up. We got to pretend like we've got a bunch of stuff to keep interest just to make sure, even though we don't even know if we're going to go through with it or not.
Or again, be like Take-Two and just, hold a seminar talking. Look, again.
Hold a seminar.
No, because that's literally what they did. And here's the thing. I am not against what they're wanting to do, but again, just because it's June doesn't mean you get to tokenize every community out there and pretend like you give a shit, when in truth, I mean, they've been as inclusive as a company can be. I mean, keep in mind, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out when again? It was like early 2000s, and it featured like a black protagonist, and not only that, but it is lauded by the black community as like one of the best representations of American gangland. I mean
that's aside from any kind of anything else, it was just such a badass game.
Yes.
And it was a game where like it was a game where you were kind of put into this lifestyle that you really had to claw your way out of. It was not like you started out as ultimate the man, you were in position.
No.
I remember, just going down the street on that game like, all right, I'm about to get swole. I'm about to go to the gym and make my guy ripped. Run into a rival gang, not ready for it, and it's over.
Yeah, you get fucked.
Yep.
And then, of course, in the beginning, Tenpenny like shows you, it's just like, welcome home, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like, Jesus, man. Even the people are supposed to be protecting you against
Yep.
you. And again, dude, it's just... and they got Samuel L. Jackson. They got so many, great actors for that. And lo and behold, here they are 20 years later saying we are taking strides to be a more diverse company. Look, again, I agree with what y'all want to do, but this is E3, man. Grand Theft Auto 5 is almost a decade old. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 hasn't had an expansion in, almost a year, I think? And y'all aren't going to say, we're taking steps to move the development of Red Dead Redemption 2 online. We're going to put more modes in. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
But they won't let people mod, man.
No, they won't.
That extends. Well, Skyrim is a perfect example of how much you can spread a game out with that.
Yeah. And here's the thing. A lot of people were worried that once Microsoft absorbed Bethesda, that would change and that Microsoft would tell Bethesda to, crack down harder on mods. No. Microsoft is just like, we see it, and we understand that engagement like that is what we need as a platform.
They allowed it in the remastered version for the Xbox One.
Yeah, they were even before Sony.
Yeah.
Sony fought tooth and nail. It's just like, we do not want foreign objects on our PlayStation 4 that is not within the Fallout engine that is on the PlayStation 4 version. It's like, dude, are you serious right now? Come on. This is literally the modding community doing the work for you to keep your game in relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean...
and it did. It extended the lifetime of both Skyrim and Fallout 4. So.
Yeah, to the point where now Skyrim, even after 10 years, is starting to stagnate, but it's because of the creation engine and the limitations that it has.
Right.
Which they showed off the creation engine too with it's their Starfield. With Starfield, they showed off what the creation engine 2 can look like in game. Looks great, by the way. And we got a release date for Starfield, which is next year in November, which I'm interested to see how that's going to play out. But with the Creation Engine 2, I'm wondering if this is the beginning of the Creation Engine 2, what will be possible whenever they put it in, they use it for the Elder Scrolls, or they use it for Fallout, instead of the same old tired Creation Engine that we have had for ever since Fallout 3, I think? In mid-2000s?
Yeah.
The same engine, guys. That's the thing. I mean, the Frostbite engine has gone through, I think, 3 revisions in that time. And the Frostbite engine's amazing. Same thing with Ubisoft. They went from Anvil to Anvil Next, and now they've got this new engine that they're using, and it looks amazing. But I just wish that Bethesda ZeniMax would have just kept going forward. And also, false advertising with Fallout 76. Thanks for that, by the way. Oh, and speaking of false advertising, Scott the Woz.
What, the Skaz?
Yeah. What the Skaz. What the Skaz.
There he is.
Thought Wataz.
Stop.
What, dude? We're trying to spooner this motherfucker. Spoonerism, this guy.
You're giving me a tumor.
It's not a tumor. It's not. Maybe it's a tumor. God. Let's go ahead and get this up on screen. All right, Scott. What you got to say?
Hey y'all, Scott here. Please, for the love of God, don't mind me. I'm just doing some touch-ups to my high school yearbook photo. You think they'd let me do retakes 9 years later? There's gotta be a grace period.
I get where he's
trouble
going.
Going to sleep thinking about what people thought of me back then, so hopefully this will change their minds. Okay, and we're done! I actually toned it down. I didn't want to get too late. Telling the truth.
Didn't want to get too late.
Bitch. Well, be honest about how your video game looks when you can just lie and deal with it when it's already bought.
Dogs.
False advertising is how many companies roll. We've all seen those fast food comparison shots. This is what's advertised, and this is what I got. What the hell? Most of the time for marketing, we'll use something that represents the final product.
Not actual gameplay
Color
footage.
correction, adjust the lighting, tweak a few angles here and there. Boom, good enough for air. And when it comes to video games, they are no stranger to catfishing. Why show actual gameplay in your ad when you can show something that's neither a game nor being played? It's way easier to disappoint players than to entice them with the truth. No matter what, false advertising is always gonna stick with gaming. It's been there since the very start and it will be there till the very end in 4 months. Advertisers know they could just show you what the actual game is gonna be like. Or they could visualize what it will feel like. Garbage. Sometimes advertisements
Colonial
don't necessarily
Marines,
lie,
yes.
But But with the way they're set up, you come in with certain expectations. With the Mario Galaxy commercials and box art, I thought you could fly through space just like this to each of the galaxies. Instead, they just play a cutscene of Mario flying, and when you would fly in-game, it would mostly just be an automated thing going from one place to another. You did get a power-up late in the game, the Red Star, and that let you freely fly for a decent amount of time, but it was only in one level and the hub world. I wanted to cream through space to all these levels like how this looked. And Super Mario Galaxy just ended up being my favorite game of all time.
Yeah.
I'll take the single tier. This is kind of the mentality around old school box art. Box art in general is supposed to be an artistic representation of the game you're buying. Of course, you shouldn't lie, but if you're waiting for an exact moment,
Super Buster.
Like
Oh, Jesus.
Well, that's a toughie. I don't think this ever happened in Title Legends. Obviously, these take and hyperbolize the best and most defining moments of the game to make for a great and appealing piece of art that also isn't misleading, which is a difficult thing to balance. Atari thought we were idiots. This isn't misleading because under the right mindset, the game will make you feel like this. So eating soap. You thought we were past this level of deception? Oh, no. See, many have noticed how box art has become more in line with what we expect out of our games these days, but the angst behind the Atari box art lives on in the form of trailers. We could show the product and get people excited, or we could not show the product and get people excited and pissed eventually. Hey, sometimes you just have to show something, and if that something isn't enough, America's biggest fear becomes a reality. The gamers will revolt. So it's obviously enticing to make your game look as appealing as possible in your big reveal trailer. It's okay to use a few scenes not actually in the game. Maybe put some CGI there for the sake of cinema. Maybe put that in. It's not in the game, but we can make it happen in the game, right?
Oh, Dead Island! Jesus
Dead
God!
Island is one of my go-to picks for deceiving trailers. And
Deception overload, dude. Holy God, this was terrible.
Cinematic masterpiece showing a family being attacked and losing their lives to a zombie outbreak, all played in reverse. There's so much you can analyze with this trailer. It put Dead Island on the map for so many players. This trailer was the first time I had even heard of the game. It really set the title up to be a gripping, emotional story of a zombie apocalypse and the emotional turmoil that ensues because of it. Here's the first thing you see putting the disc in.
Voodoo, you voodoo, bitch!
Not saying Dead Island is a bad game at all, but the trailer and the game are two completely different beasts. The tone of the game is
mediocre,
still very serious, but not as serious or emotionally gripping as the trailer would lead you.
Mediocre is the word I would use.
Have nothing to do with the game, other than
although these characters are in the game, but they're already dead. They're literally like pieces of the environment. That's
Aren't we
it.
all?
Oh. Yeah.
Speaking of the Ryan Reynolds movie that's going to be coming out soon.
Where
he's like
he's the NPC
that gains sentience.
Yeah.
That
free guy.
Great. Anyway, that's
showing remnants of the outbreak.
Yeah, that trailer was very well done.
Went into the game after the trailer came out to try to adjust the tone as much as possible to be more in line with it. But these still feel like two different things.
Yes.
This shows how powerful marketing can be, making you want something you had no prior interest in. But this was a case of false advertising just because we let somebody talented make our trailer. Oops. Sometimes false advertising is very much deliberate as it sets you up for a massive shock while playing the game. Metal Gear Solid 2 is a prime example. Just play a Snake the whole game. Nah, you're playing the rest of the game as this new character, right? Final Fantasy VII Remake. Well, with the title literally involving the word remake, it sets you up to expect the story to basically follow the same steps as the original. Also the entirety of the original. In reality, this was a fucking lie. The Last of Us Part 2 on top of pulling
Well, it can't be an official remake if the game's not finished. They're releasing it in 3 parts.
And also the gameplay is completely different.
Well, it's action RPG.
So it's not really a remake as much as it is like a retelling.
Yeah. I consider it a rebuild/remake.
Maybe
because
a reboot.
No, because it's telling the same story basically.
The show, no,
I get you, but
I'm stupid.
You're not stupid. You're high. It's all right.
Shut the fuck up. Stupid.
Melm. Oh, that's me.
Oh no.
It's me, Mama. Hold on, everyone.
Nate's in trouble.
Hold on. Hello? Sorry about that, everyone. My mama, she's where she's had her knee surgery, like a lot of stuff is just coming full circle, and also my nephew, he's having his teeth worked on because they're messed up, not gonna lie. They're fangled.
Dude, I've still got that one tooth broken in half from where I got kicked in the face, and
yeah, I had a filling knocked out, and I gotta get that filled in. But
yeah,
other than that, I'm all right. My teeth are in pretty good shape. But yeah, anyway, let's get back to this.
The same Metal Gear Solid joke of, you thought you were playing as this character? Laugh. They also altered certain cutscenes for its trailers to make the character Joel look older in them, so that way, with viewers knowing he's aged, they were led to believe he was in more of the game than he really was.
And again, I cannot express enough.
Why?
The fact that they had to go to those... And here's the thing. There's movies that have lied to me before in trailers, but yet...
Like
no, because like Avengers Infinity War, it showed Thanos, I believe, arriving on Earth with only 2 Infinity Stones in, the purple and the blue one, when in truth, when he arrived on Earth, he had all of them save for the Mind Stone.
Right.
And I think the reason why they did that is because they thought, oh, he's come to Earth to get all of the other Infinity Stones, and instead of, like, other Infinity Stones are actually being brought to him. Yeah, it was a good mislead on that, but this was deliberate to the point of where they did it just to have the shock value at the beginning of the game instead of having it build up and get your hopes built up as to something. I have no problem with Joel's ultimate fate. I have no problem with that, but again, could have been done so much better.
Yeah, it could have been Joel Osteen.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, except instead of a golf club, they beat him to death with a Bible.
A real one.
In reality,
Like a thick hardback version of the King James Bible.
Yeah.
And they like capsize his skull in.
flashback scenes made him look older and put them in the trailer. See, I don't really consider that to be false advertising, at least in the more negative sense. Rather, it's leading players in another direction or just not showing things to avoid spoilers. So it's just being an ass. But then we have just the flat-out lies. Some of the most despicable, loathsome moments in the video game industry. The Simpsons game. This game had the audacity to say in its E3 2007 trailer it was releasing on every platform ever made.
Coming this fall to every platform ever made.
Oh, even the PSP? See, most people would assume that's a joke, but you forget to take into consideration most people. Some people genuinely thought this game was coming to all these platforms, so we had to re-release the trailer. The voiceover was the same, but the platforms showcased were... true. Well,
what I would have done is I would have showed those, and I would have showed those, and then right after it's like, and also potentially these, and just like show every other console that has existed.
Potentially,
exactly.
Right.
And then people would get the joke. But instead, instead the internet had to throw a tizzy and just be like,
how come it's not
coming out of the ColecoVision, you fucking liars?
People forget that there is a massive, and believe me, before I started getting into the internet and the ability to interact with so many people, I had no idea. There are an unbelievable amount of people out there who they lack the ability to read social cues, and they do not understand satire whatsoever. If you say it, you meant it, and they're terrified of Eminem for that reason. You know, people are like, oh my God, Eminem said this, or I have come to understand it's not just these people being assholes. They genuinely cannot understand a joke.
They lack critical thinking skills.
Just social skills.
Yeah,
gone.
That too, yeah.
And so they will follow political candidates or trends, or that's why people worship Justin Bieber. They literally see other people saying he's a big deal, and they're like, oh, okay, I don't have to scurry to figure that out. I'm good with it. Whatever you guys say.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we'll defend that because that's literally their only ability to navigate. So they saw that, and I'm sure we're like, no, I saw the commercial. I'm getting this.
It's like Video Game Donkey calling up, I think it was pizza, or Domino's. Mm-hmm. It's just like, yeah, I saw y'all had a contest for Donkey Kong. Like if I order so many pizzas, I get a free copy of Donkey Kong. How many pizzas do I got to order to get that free copy of Donkey Kong? Sir, this is a Walgreens.
That guy's ridiculous.
I love Donkey so much.
It's
Sorry.
ridiculous
It's
for
a
anyone to
Walgreens.
assume the original trailer wasn't a joke. I think some of the platform choices were incredibly misleading. The Game Boy Advance and GameCube were still being supported at this time.
Okay, that's fair.
All platforms put there as a joke. Those are really odd choices considering I don't think it was too far-fetched to expect a Game Boy Advance or GameCube version in 2007. Or the VIC-20. The box itself can be pretty deceitful sometimes. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Wii U says it supports the Wii Remote and Nunchuck and Classic Controller and...
It does not.
But there was speculation in the early days of Breath of the Wild's development that it would allow players to use motion controls like with Skyward Sword on the Wii. Now, supporting
Well,
the
it's
remote
because
by
it was
itself,
developed... Originally, the game was developed for the Switch, and they had to make concessions to make it work on the Wii U. And I guarantee you, these were planned, like, in some part of development, but yeah, it just didn't happen. It's how it goes.
Doom on Sega Saturn says on the box that it's the original Doom in all of its glory when it's missing content. But then we have the flat-out disappointments, where you watch a Fruit Gushers commercial as a kid, and in those, whenever somebody ate one, their entire head would turn into a giant fruit.
Oh my
you never
God.
ate one for years out of fear, and one day you decided life is hell anyways.
So good.
Son of a bitch. Marvel
He wanted his
vs. Capcom Infinite. No, this collector's
Fuck
edition
that
comes with
game, dude.
stones.
I swear to God, if they're just eggs.
They're just eggs.
These have all been somewhat tolerable lies, though. I mean, if she's cheating on you, at least she's only doing it a little. Aliens Colonial Marines was such a massive cluster of garbage. Like, what the hell happened here? Gameplay demos shown were severely different from the final product, making the game look so much more sophisticated with good lighting, AI, animations, a severe attention to detail. But upon release, we only have a few options here. See, this was a massive downgrade, some areas of the game more so than others. But in the end, this was pure deceptive marketing. At E3 2012, the game was running on very specific work machines. This wasn't going to work on the consoles at the time, but they made it still not work. While it's not unplayable, Colonial Marines was a huge disappointment and showcases how companies will pretty up a game for major gameplay demos to end up releasing something not nearly as groundbreaking. It's crazy how far these studios will go to mask a title's true identity, which, to be fair, I'm sure they wanted Aliens to end up looking like this. The intention definitely wasn't to win everybody over at E3 and then release shit. These gameplay demos are supposed to represent what they want the game to be, and if it actually turns out that way, well, let's pray God's a fan. I mean, this demo looks like a fine-tuned PS4 Xbox One game, not a 360 title. But even then, the graphical downgrade isn't merely due to the consoles. It affected the PC version as well, and overall, everything was just of lower quality. It tricked millions into buying the game, thinking it would be this, when in reality, it was nothing but a shell of that. Watch Dogs suffered a similar, though not a severe fate, where it too looked light years better via the gameplay demo than in its final state. This was definitely because it was revealed quite early in the project's life. They didn't have to take hardware limitations into account nearly as much at this time compared to when you're finalizing everything about the game. And when it got to that point, I mean, the game still looks fine, but that E3 gameplay demo was beyond impressive. Watch Dogs at release was a somewhat buggy, generic, modern Ubisoft game, and not much more than that. No Man's Sky was a huge letdown for many, with the promise of basically having an infinite amount of worlds to travel to in space. Of course, the ones they decided to showcase at E3 were the only ones of note. The game was supposed to feature procedurally generated worlds, and when you would land on one, it was truly you discovering it, but in reality, the game launched as a boring experience where there was nothing to do, and the world
I tried to play it then.
They didn't look...
Me too.
Couldn't do it.
But now,
I would love to try it in VR now. Even the older game would have been way cooler in VR.
I think so too. I think the immersion that you would have with that versus what we got with the original release.
It looks like fucking Star Wars now, though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're doing all kinds of crazy
dude,
shit.
they're doing like the space battles like they talked about.
Yeah.
They're doing like the different like the underwater stuff. They're doing all of the like varied plant life, animal life, and it's amazing that they stuck with the development of the game when their launch and the preceding or in the and the aftermath of that would discern any studio from continuing it.
Oh, yeah.
But they stayed the course. And that's one thing I'll say about Sean Murray, dude. He stuck with it.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
you
did.
and I have both seen that.
The
Ingoodening of No Man's Sky.
Ingoodening.
Yeah, which I'm glad that they experienced a recovery.
Yeah.
And they're now developing something else.
Yeah.
I'm glad, dude, because I think because it was their first like big console / PC release that they were just like, okay, let's take every course we can get to make this a big thing, and then all of a sudden, like, Sony came in and was just like, oh, hey, we want to make you a big title on our console.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, fan hype goes through the roof because, you know, journalism.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got the release. Thankfully, it's a lot better now.
Look as graphically decent as they did during the marketing push, and they all just felt like variations of each other. Nothing of note. Now, Watch Dogs wasn't the biggest downgrade. It was still a decent game, and No Man's Sky got a ton of updates, and at this point, it's pretty okay and does a better job living up to what was initially promised. Aliens was one of the worst cases of this, deliberately making a better-looking gameplay demo before releasing. Gameplay demos are supposed to be more trustworthy than trailers. That's the point of them. The trailers use CG cutscenes and cuts between them in gameplay all the time. The gameplay demo is supposed to show you what you're gonna get, because trailers can be incredibly misleading. The
Resistance
trailer infamously was all CGI, even though it was animated in a way to make the viewers
not
think it was all
Resistance, but
gameplay.
Killzone
This was
too.
right before the PlayStation 3 was coming out, and that was a time when we thought anything was possible on these consoles. If anybody could resurrect Christ, it would be the PS3. But many assumed they weren't lying. This was gameplay. Now, Killzone 2 still looked quite good when it released, but the people who made this trailer, they're still going to hell. Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2009 on Wii.
They lied through their
Xbox
teeth.
360 footage of the game with a Wii remote pointer. How did they think that would fly? EA explained the Wii footage wouldn't look good on a TV, so they used the HD footage from the 360 version and put the Wii remote pointer in there, and bam, that's a sin. But one game decided to do something innovative. Be the biggest example of false advertising of all time. Yeah, I'm not really saying anything that hasn't already been said here. Smallpox. They fucking stink. But when talking about false advertising in gaming, we can't avoid the piss stain on my Xbox collection. Cyberpunk 2077 was developed by CD Projekt Red, a developer highly regarded for their work on the Witcher series and their commitment to consumer-friendly practices. I mean, The Witcher 3 was a huge hit, but even before that release, they announced they'd be working on a game based on the Cyberpunk series of tabletop RPGs. This was in 1964. Announced in 2012, then getting its first trailer in 2013, and then its next trailer 5 years later. In reality, the game was nowhere near starting full-on development, and it took until The Witcher 3's final expansion released in 2016 for the team to actually start work, and when this gameplay demo was fully revealed in 2018, jaws were dropped. This was such a detailed world with people walking around who have legitimate lives to live. If you would follow just one around, you would see them go about their day, go to their job, go home, and every single decision of yours would come back to bite you in the ass. And this is all without saying, the game looked stunning. Just absolutely beautiful models and settings. The animations were amazing. It looked like the most advanced video game of all time. And guess what? After being delayed numerous times, Cyberpunk launched in a state that, well, the main issue stemmed from the console versions. The PC version ran and worked the best, but it still was a far cry from that initial gameplay reveal.
Albeit, I'll say this: I've played I've played multiple versions of it. I've played the PC version. PC version by far is the best. It's because I'm running it with a 3080. I mean, I'm not even gonna pretend like I'm not blessed to have a 3080, but I have I remember it was Corey. Our friend, Corey, he played it on PlayStation 4 on the PS4. I think it was, no, he's got a regular PS4.
Yeah.
And he said that it ran fine, so I attained a copy of it for PS4, and it worked all right. It did 30 FPS. Yeah. But then
the man said he played it on the PS4 and it was fine.
Yeah. And that was, and here's the thing, this was after several big updates as well.
big patches.
Because when the game originally dropped with its initial patch, I saw gameplay footage of that.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back and, actually I think you can if you delete all the footage, if you delete all the data off your PlayStation 4 for the game previously, and then you just play the game with no internet connection, then you can play the game in its original state. Oh my god.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Because, dude, I want to laugh. That's the only reason why I would do that.
Most of the issues boiled down to how glitchy and unpolished the game could be at times, but at its core, I'll stand by the fact it's a good game. The world is really what sells.
It is.
So
it's a good game.
Detailed and feels like a genuine lived-in place, and being in a dystopian future, it's truly a world worth exploring and looking at every little minute thing. But everything around it just doesn't feel all too special. The gameplay isn't anything groundbreaking. It's a first-person open-world RPG involving shooting and driving segments, and none of this is bad, but it just isn't anything I haven't seen before. Anything that they talked about in the gameplay demo, like how advanced the non-playable characters are, you just see them walking in a circle, going up to them and hitting the talk button, and they say one of like 3 repeated phrases to you. The same goes for the characters more integral to the story. They'll repeat some voice lines, which is fine, that's understandable. But this isn't the genre-defining game they made it out to be. It's a brilliantly designed world inside a game that feels like it's from 2013. Glitches were abundant, and we're just talking about the PC version here. On Xbox One and PlayStation 4, not only were glitches even more all over the place, but the game ran like piss, and that doesn't run well.
Oh, why would you do that to a series or an Xbox?
It had to have been
And
busted.
this was the product of a giant marketing campaign pushed by investors and higher-ups who didn't understand how game development worked. They wanted a 2020 release date, which by the time CD Projekt Red started development would have given them less time to finish than The Witcher 3. And this project was so much more advanced with elements they've never worked with before. It just felt like a lot of choices they made didn't add up. Like, why do we have all this customization for our character, but the game is almost exclusively played in the first person and you barely ever see your character? Why
That's
push
a
all
good
this money
question.
into
Why?
marketing and showing a demo of a game that frankly didn't exist yet? Much like other examples given, this demo was basically what the developers were told to shoot for, not what the game was, and no matter how much the developers said they needed more time or this wasn't possible, the marketing pushed Cyberpunk that much more. Like, did they really have to announce, hey, the game is finished, when the developer said, bullshit it is? Cyberpunk 2077 is a good game. May not be for everybody, but to act like at its core this isn't a well-crafted experience, I think is a bit much. But you can't blame people for thinking that after such a disastrous launch and being lied to constantly. This was a case of a developer who was known for their goodwill and how players adored them, and higher-ups taking advantage.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how much these companies feel the need to lie when they know that it'll just come back to bite them in the ass. They take first impressions more seriously than launch impressions sometimes, but is it really worth all the headaches? To go through lawsuits and refunds and to lose consumer trust, all to impress people at E3 with something you know damn well can't be accomplished? Well, for some people it is. That's why lying is so popular. Fix the problem now, deal with the repercussions later, instead of telling the truth and causing some potential disappointment, but then you don't have to deal with bigger problems a year from now. It's just sometimes marketing takes over projects, and a lot of marketers don't care. Their job is to get people interested, and even if it turns out to be over lies, well, that's more publicity for the project. I guarantee you, more people have talked about Cyberpunk and Aliens Colonial Marines and No Man's Sky because they were disasters compared to if they were as good as they were made out to be. And if regardless of if discussion is positive or negative, it's still getting the name out there, which means false advertising for games will never go away. Game studios are constantly pressured into pushing boundaries, and I feel like they look at what they're currently capable of, no matter how advanced, and think it's not good enough. So they pretty things up for reveals and just assume they'll get it working later. But as we can see, that's not the greatest risk to take. I think the lesson we learned here is it's okay to be excited. It's also okay to be skeptical. But maybe wait to make a full decision until something's out in the world and actual people are playing the game rather than snake people. Because liars are everywhere. They might
Yes, they
be
are.
staring you in the face. And this was when I lost credibility.
What is wrong with that guy, man? Jesus.
Dude, he's a nut. You know
He
this.
is.
But that's why we love him. I mean, he's Scott the Wise. Do you expect him to be any other way?
No,
Dude,
I don't.
I don't either. I mean, he's Scott the Wise. He
Yeah.
will always be Scott the Wise.
Good stuff, though, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I'm glad he didn't totally shit all over Cyberpunk because everybody just started doing that.
everybody does that. There's been a few
It's
who...
just not the case, man.
No, again, it's I will always support the developers at CD Projekt Red, but fuck the higher ups who thought that they could just take advantage of the goodwill of their player base and release a turd in that state, especially on console.
Yeah.
But again, dude, it's just the disconnect between certain entities that try to work together. You know, bean counters who have their place in business, especially in the gaming industry, versus developers who are the blood. They are the lifeblood of the gaming industry. They're what determines what makes a good game and what makes a bad game. But yet you can't like tell the bean counters. It's just like, look, guys, we are going to do whatever we can to make this the best game possible. We need an X amount of time, and then the bean counters are just like, you got 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's just like we don't have we don't have 6 months. Like we need at least a guaranteed 1.5 to 2 years to get the game to where it can run properly.
Right.
And then there's play testing to get rid of all the bugs, and then it's just like, yeah, well, we aren't going to pay a development house to go through and get rid of and help us like debug the whole game. Instead, we're just gonna, we're just gonna do everything in house. We'll use AI programs to figure everything out. It's like, I'm sorry, these AI programs that you're talking about, did you develop them? Or do you even know what they're designed to do?
Or what their limitations are?
Exactly.
What cleanup you might have to do after them,
Exactly. And who's to say they aren't going to find something in the game that works perfectly well, but yet it perceives it as a fault, and it's going to report that as a fault. We take it out, and it fucks up the game even worse. Like, who's to say?
But, yeah, it's a big disconnect a lot of times. And, also, you brought up a good point about Cyberpunk and its downfallings and how they're, we can't rule out that there could be influence from other developers that don't want a small company to succeed like that.
And
there could be potential sabotage on the side of even rival companies knowing that this company's game is not going to be what they're saying it is, so let's hype it up even more. Let's make people think. Let's promise stuff.
Let's promise God tier.
Yeah.
Let's promise God tier.
Or make the expectations that just knowing that it's going to put a stain on the competition.
And you see, that's the whole thing, the whole politics of the gaming industry. I can't stand it. I can't stand politics, period. So when it infects the gaming industry and it makes it to where good developers who actually give a shit about what their fans have to say are thrown under the bus because they don't cater to what this company's doing or what that company's doing. So instead, these companies do everything they can to literally just fuck over said developer.
Well, it's hard when you're competing, when you use passion to compete with greed. Passionate people are very emotionally drawn to make decisions. But when you got somebody who's just greedy and just wants the biggest piece of the pie, they will be so cutthroat. You can't get through that, and you're going to get that at every end of a big money deal, no matter what industry it is.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate truth about human nature. I discussed this with we were hanging out with the boys the other day. We were talking about human nature. Is there a way to combat human nature to construct to where humans will work together collectively, as individuals, or are we just so mentally skewered as individuals that it'll be impossible? Because again, dude, the disconnect with certain branches. It's like Linus Tech Tips. He released a video the other day. It's like what it takes to make 7 videos a week for the Linus Tech Tips YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And to see the amount of shit that he goes through for how well put together those videos are, all the people who are involved, everything like that. And then he said, and then we get the advertisers who we do advertising spots for, and then when the video comes out, they say, oh, the video's too long, or the video's too dark.
After they spent all the trouble making it.
Yeah, after Linus and his team have gone through everything to ensure that the video is to a certain level. And Linus has said this. He's like, there's no such thing as a perfect video, but we do our damnedest to at least make the video great, if not exceptional. Yeah. And the fact that an advertiser whom we are going out of our way to advertise for their product in our video, and we dedicate a 30-second spot to to what we're wanting to advertise for them, and we speak brightly about it and everything, and the benefits that it can show, and then they come forward and they say, oh, the video as a whole package, which is not about our product or anything, is too dark, or it's too long, or this, and it's just like, okay, if we're doing a sole video about your product and you are paying us for that, then okay. But that's not the case. It's an advertisement. It's a commercial.
So they're starting to get to the realm of like they want to be treated as producers for the show that they're advertising on.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
And it's
Could
just
you
like
imagine?
it's like this. It's like
That's
we're
ridiculous.
not network television. This is YouTube. It's like we know how YouTube works. We know how to get into the algorithm. We know how to like. This is what Linus had to explain to me. It's just like we know how to get into the algorithm. Do you guys know how to get into the algorithm, or is it that just a word that you heard and you thought, oh, that's a word we'll use as a buzzword during a meeting?
Yeah.
Like, I keep hearing about that, and I keep hearing people say that. It's just like, holy crap. It's like, they even know what the word algorithm means? I guarantee you, most of them think it's Al Gore snapping his finger, like getting that algorithm.
Getting that algorithm.
Yeah.
No.
Just like, yeah. I don't know, man.
It's the pretty much the equation that computers follow to make decisions on where to put stuff.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, and
like,
considering how YouTube's goes, and it switches up every now and again because YouTube can't help but just add different pieces of code in there to fuck everything up. Well, I'm being honest, dude. I mean, animators who did like stuff that was like 2 minutes long or stuff like that in the early days of YouTube, they were killing it, dude. They were having great success. But then all of a sudden, YouTube's just like, oh no,
10
videos
minutes.
have to be 10 minutes or longer.
Yeah.
And now they've cut
30
it back.
minutes.
And now they've cut it back to where it's like,
15
oh
minutes.
no, it has to be 8 minutes or longer. And now people
Or
are
a
just-
minute. It's a short.
Yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too. Now shorts have come into the
It's
fold.
got its own algorithm.
Yeah, and now shorts are their own thing.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's just like, where
But
was
it
this?
can also-
Where was this like 6 years ago?
They have their own algorithm for shorts specifically, and they also compete with every other video for the front page and stuff, like for what's trending.
And then stuff that they put in the top trending thing has like a minuscule amount of views versus stuff that's not even in the algorithm gets a huge amount of views.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. It's like I saw a PewDiePie video, him talking about Minecraft, and it was just like him playing Minecraft, and it had over 3 million views in one day. And then I look at the trending page, and I think it was a Tommy Innit video. The guy's name is Tommy Innit, and he did a Minecraft video, and the video had been in the main trending page for 2 days. It was like number 7, then went down to number 10, and in 2 days it had less than 600,000 views. How the hell is that trending?
No, dude, I've
versus
seen it.
PewDiePie?
I've seen it in the recommended, like, oh, spotlight on this creator, and it's like, number one, they've got like 1,000 subscribers, and everything about their presentation screams so much money.
Yeah.
Number two, like, this video sucks and nobody's watching it. Like, what are you doing?
Well, it's YouTube. It's Google Ads. You can pay for a Google Ads account and
Yeah.
you can run ads. It's like me. I'm running ads. I'm
really?
running ads now. I'm doing it's a budget of I think $10 a day, and it's and I'm trying to put our gaming content out there more because I've got it running on a cycle.
Yeah.
But whenever our film project comes up, I'm gonna probably advertise the shit out of it, which me and Jacob are gonna work on that over the weekend. So hopefully we'll have it done by the end of June, if not early July. I was hoping we'd have it done earlier in the year, but just a bunch of shit came up,
Stuff,
moving
things.
and all that.
Yeah.
You know, you had to move.
Yep.
We had to move. Me and Nick had to move.
Making moves.
Jacob's camera shitted out, so we had to wait
Ooh,
until it
I
got
didn't know
repaired
that.
before we could finish.
That sucks.
Oh yeah, dude, that fucked up everything. I remember when he told me that, my heart sank. I'm just like, we're never gonna be able to finish this thing. And then me and him went back in a few days, like about a week and a half ago, and we finished it and get all the footage that we needed. It was just like, thank you.
Praise the Lord.
And then we're also working with Dave Eggar on the soundtrack, so that's really cool.
Good stuff.
I told him, he sent me a bunch of
This
stuff.
is not false advertising, by
No,
the
it is
way.
not.
This is all real,
Exactly.
true.
Yeah. So
Dave Eggar
you know what
for
else? Yeah. You know what else was What else wasn't false advertising?
What?
Just Scott the Waz video. This was
Nope.
very well done, very well put together. Well done, Scott. So again, everyone, thank you all very much for tuning in. This was Scott the Waz, false advertising. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you want to see more from Scott the Waz, click his name in the title of the video. Go to his channel. Leave a like we are doing on this video right now. Bing! And hopefully you can find our comment down below. I'll be leaving comments down there. Best of luck in finding it. And until next time, I'm Nate.
I'm Chad.
We'll see you, everybody. Peace out.